as opinion polls suggest, is likely the Republican Party will win a majority in the House of Representatives. That could spell the end of the current Congressional Committee of Inquiry into the storming of Congress on January the 6th last year, in which case today's panel's hearing could be its last one ever. In her opening statement, the Republican vice chair of the committee, Liz Cheney, said there was no doubt that Donald Trump was the architect of the events of January the 6th.
The vast weight of evidence presented so far has shown us that the central cause of January 6th was one man, Donald Trump, whom many others followed. None of this would have happened without him. He was personally and substantially involved in all of it. Exactly how did one man cause all of this? Today, we will focus on President Trump's state of mind, his intent, his motivations, and how he spurred others to do his bidding, and how another January 6th could happen again if we do not take necessary action to prevent it.
Hugo Lowell is congressional reporter for The Guardian and joins us now from Washington, D.C. Hugo, Liz Cheney fingering Donald Trump, and the committee has now issued a legal summons for him to testify. Is that likely to happen?
Well, the subpoena is a subpoena, so Trump is under the law compelled to testify to Congress and produce documents as is outlined in the order. I guess it's a good point as to whether or not he's actually going to comply. I spoke to a couple of aides to the former president through the hearing and immediately afterwards, and indications appear to be that he will fight the subpoena. But I think, the subpoena in and of itself was largely symbolic. The committee's winding down. The subpoena would only be valid for a few more months anyway. They expire at the end of each congressional session. And so I think this was a really symbolic move to try and get to kind of show their resolve in trying to hold Trump accountable.
And what else did they present today in terms of evidence? I mean, a lot of the evidence has been some fairly compelling video evidence from inside the Capitol Hill building on January the 6th. I think there was some more of that today, wasn't there?
Yeah, and look, they really took a step back and they tried to show the overarching narrative of basically Trump's efforts to overturn the election and how they all culminated in the Capitol attack on January 6th. And it started before the election. I think, one of the really compelling points was Brad Parscale, who was Trump's former campaign manager in 2020, admitting to the committee in testimony that as early as July, Trump was already discussing and strategizing how he intended to declare victory on election night, even if he had lost. And that really set the tenor for the rest of the campaign and through the post-election season. And it all culminated on January 6th. And, the committee has really struggled to find direct ties between political operatives who work for Trump and the rioters who stormed the Capitol. But they did get pretty close. And I think they drew a couple of circumstantial links that seemed to ensnare the former president.
Are these hearings, this evidence, going to make any difference to the coming midterm elections, do you think?
On balance, probably not. I mean, if you look at campaign ad spending, it's probably been about 2% of total campaign spending this midterm season has been devoted to January 6th. The rest of it has really been about, regular kind of pocketbook issues. I mean, from state to state, it varies. But it's really been about the candidates. And so I think January 6th has taken a bit of a back burner. I mean, it feels already on Capitol Hill that January 6th is, in the rearview mirror, so to speak. And so I think it's become more of a litmus test of, would you want Trump-endorsed candidates? Would you want a whole Republican Congress leading into the 2024 elections when Trump may, of course, and has said publicly that he may run for president?
Hugo, many thanks. Hugo Lowell, congressional reporter for The Guardian.